Hello, everybody, and welcome to this very special first and certainly not last of its kind stream for a Wednesday afternoon, evening, morning, whatever the time zone happens to be. I am joined by a patron of the channel, an internationally renowned super mega star actor, Brian Burrell, who is all the way from Hong Kong. Now, for those of you that don't know, I ran not a competition. I just said if any patrons wanted to play a one-on-one game with me, they should sign up and let me know. And Brian was one of them, along with many others. And we randomly rolled to see who got the final spot, and it went to Brian. So Brian, thanks for joining us. My
pleasure. Great to be here.
Okay. Audio is screeching a bit. Now, that's just me screeching. I don't know about the audio. I'm just busy looking at the comments. I don't see, maybe it's because I'm leaning forward. I'm excited about what's going to be happening. How is that, Captain Priceless? You tell me. Okay, sorry, Brian. Yeah, this is technical. So this is, dear goodness, Lance Pickett keeping me on my toes. Pasangan Hariyain Bike. Pasangan Hariyain Bike. How's your Malay, Brian?
Malay is not a language that I've worked on yet. My second language was Cambodian, my third Cantonese, fourth is Mandarin, fifth is Japanese. Malay I haven't touched yet.
There you go. Well, I think that's just a poor show. I think you should really pull your socks up. I mean, why not be able to speak every language in the Far East, I suppose. I could barely... I still can't speak Japanese, and I was there for 2 years anyway. Okay, better, says Captain Price. Is good, glad to hear that. No fight for a place. No, Ben, we didn't go with a fight for the place. We went with the good old-fashioned one. The Technochroma says Konbanwa, Brian-san.
Oh, konbanwa.
Konbanwa indeed. Absolutely. How do you say good evening in Cantonese?
Like man sung ho, but that's like only from a textbook. Normally it's just hello.
Yeah, I noticed that one as well. In Japan, it's like, how do I say? Oh, it's konbanwa technically. We can just say hiya. Anyway, all right, so that's lovely. So we're going to be doing a session 0 tonight with Brian, and then starting from next week, we will jump into the actual campaign itself. But a lot of people have been asking, can we have a look at that session 0 anyway? Can we see what kind of goes on behind the scenes and that sort of thing? So that's what we're going to be doing and looking at tonight. Once that's locked away, then the campaign, like I said, will kick off next week. Now, it's very strange, but Matthew Colville just released a video on his YouTube channel on running a one-on-one session. So I had to watch him at twice the speed. So now I know what all of you feel like when you're watching my videos. It's like, yeah, can I go faster than? Why can't I go faster? Anyway, so that was very insightful to see what he did, and yeah, of course I've got videos on how to run session 0s as well. But yeah, we're here now. We're going to get started. So let's start, Brian, with you telling us a little bit about your character. Tell us who Bindar Raj Singh is.
Okay, so Raj comes from... Raj is a tabaxi, because I love playing this race recently, and he comes from a part of your world that is Indian-based in culture. And he comes from a merchant family. And they deal in expensive jewelry and gems. And he discovered that some members of his family will be born with magical talents. So that's why he is a sorcerer. He was born with divine magic. And he was raised by he was taught how to use those powers by his grandmother, who had the same talents. And now he is so he discovered that when he was 12. He's now about 17, and he's out on trade missions for his family, traveling through the realms.
Absolutely. So, if any of you recall, last year we did a campaign creation series where we created this world known as Gaia, and we designed Eutherios and Throselios as our principal area of activity, and populated the rest of the world with all kinds of wonderful things. So, yeah. Bindar Raj Singh comes from Vashti, which is down here in the far south. Did you settle on a hometown? Was it Shahpur or Pertu?
Vashti is the country.
Correct.
Okay, so I believe I was going on the north coast is what I was aiming for.
North coast. So Nilio or Kir, perhaps, because we start moving into a different group of individuals when we get to the Anchang.
It was down around Vashti.
Go to that map. That'll be easy.
There
for
we
you.
go. Let's make it Carcoon.
Carcoon. All right, lovely. Okay, so you were from Carcoon. There we go. And travel the world, or are now embarking on traveling the world to sell these gemstones or jewelry. Jewelry. Okay, lovely. I must remember to add that to the portrait. What do you think Raj's goal is in life? Have you worked that out yet?
He's a perfectionist, and he really enjoys making exquisite gems and jewelry. So he's always looking for new sources, and with his magical talents, he wants to find a way to imbue magic inside of these gems.
I see. Interesting. Okay. Now, I've got on the screen here some information, and this is where I would want some feedback from you guys. What kind of information would you want to see? So I've put in some of Raj's stuff here. I've got in his basic stats, his hit points, and some other bits and pieces. But is there more that you want to see? Is there less that you want to see? It's an interesting one when you're kind of coming up with layouts and stuff for these kinds of shows and things. It's like, well, what do you as the viewer want to see more of? So when we're in a map-like situation, this is what you would see. And when there's just the two of us, then this is what you'll see. If there's more, please let me know and I'll update and upgrade it. I mean, this is a session 0. That's kind of what it's all about. Okay, so this perfectionist is trying to look at how to imbue magic into the jewelry and that sort of thing. What do you think the outcome of that would be? Is it to create magic items which have a higher retail value, or would it be to enhance the jewelry?
Probably to create magic items that have more value would be the primary thing. He is a teenager. His wisdom is pretty low, so he's just thinking of, and he's also a Devaxi, so he's just thinking about bright and shiny things.
I like it. All right. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, there's some questions about my sanity, which is absolutely fine. What is the GM attempting to learn? What is the GM attempting to learn about character in session 0? It's a very good question, Grizzles. And what we're trying to learn here is, both of us, Brian and myself, we're trying to figure out how everybody fits in this world and how this world works. That's the important thing. And it's critical in session 0 anyway, that by the end of it, Brian walks away going, I'm happy with this character and I want to carry on playing this character, assumedly for quite some time. But also that I walk away from it going, okay, I have a better understanding of what Brian's goals are as a role player, so that I can then tailor the campaign how we want. Now, because I made that campaign last year, where it was about the Slard invasion and all of that kind of stuff, that's not what we're going to be doing in this campaign. there are a couple of reasons for that. Firstly, that was designed for a group of role players. It wasn't designed for an individual role player. Secondly, I didn't have my players around, so I didn't really know how to adjust it too much. So that's what we're hoping to get out of this, to put it mildly. DM stretch, be good to see if we could see what the character looked like. Yes, absolutely. I agree with you. I've done some renders of the character already, but we're getting there. Did I misspell sorcerer? Yes, did I? Did I? SORCEROR? No. Oh, what? Tech grammar fail. Oh, sorry. What was I trying to get out of the play? All right, never mind. Anyway, okay. So, Brian, are there any questions you'd like to ask before we get started?
No. I'm pretty good with what information I have so far.
All right, perfect. Okay, then let's jump right in. It's sorcerer is bad. Yes, okay, fine. My spelling is incorrect. I'll fix that. I thought I got it wrong. Right, but got to be something, right?
It's one of those. It feels right but then you look at it and there's just something wrong. You can't point your finger at it.
Yeah, it's the right shape of the word, so it suits me. But anyway, okay. So you have two choices. As we said, you were starting in Carcoon. Carcoon is a very, very, very busy port city. Not only is it on the banks of the Great Kandan River, which flows into the Arum Sea, but it is also one of the major trading ports for the kingdom of Agra Sahad. And everything and anything can be purchased and sold here. This is where your family has their stall. Now, you have been charged with going to expand operations and find gemstones.
Okay.
And your father, do you have a name for your father?
No, I have not named my parents yet.
That's okay.
I will do that.
That's absolutely fine. Your father has indicated that he wants you to go to Pythios, which is in the Aetherius territories.
Okay.
Pythios has a small mountain range near it and have been excavating some of the most amazing Chalcedony and Alexandrite stones that have been seen in a long time. And the Alexandrite particularly is of interest because it could be used in the creation of scepters and of the headpieces of staves for sorcerers in Carcoon. As it's an incredibly, incredibly tough gemstone. It's very, very, very difficult to mine, as a matter of fact. But Pythos has a new vein that they've opened up that seems to have quite a heavy load in it. To get from Carcoon to Pythos, you have three choices. You can take a ship. It will take you about a week to sail there. You could take what money your father has allocated to you, and he has allocated to you the fairly princely sum, I would say, of, let's say it's 500 gold pieces that he has allocated to you to get to Pythios, buy one of the Alexandrite stones. It doesn't have to be a very big one, and then bring it back so that he and the gem cutters can look at it and see what they can do with it. The prices for the gemstones, it should be maybe 100 gold pieces. But these are humans, so you can negotiate with them. You can definitely get a better deal. So, you can go by ship. Your passage from Carcoon to Pythios will cost you no more than 25 gold pieces, there and back. In a common class cabin, which is a shared cabin, basically, with others. You could charter your own ship. That's going to cost you 200 gold. But then it's your own little sloop that will get you to where you're going. You could, if you're lucky, fly using a Pegasus. They exist. They are all over the place, these Pegasi. They are very expensive. It will cost you around about 300 gold pieces, but it's only yourself, and it will take you probably 4 or 5 days to get there. But you'll fly from Cocoon, you will fly to Jiyung. From Jiyung, you will fly over the Savicum bridge into Sophos, and then from Sophos, you will fly to Pythios. Or you could simply take a gate, which is one of the large magical teleportation gates. Cocoon is big enough to have one. That will get you to Pythos within a matter of seconds, but will cost you 400 gold pieces for the journey.
That's a tough decision. I'm trying to think of how a cat would feel about going to sea, because the first...
So the Tabaxi trade is very important, and so there will be Tabaxi captains, but yes, most of the crew will be humans, possibly elves, people who don't particularly mind getting very, very, very wet. But it's definitely it's not great, but it is the cheapest option without a shadow of a doubt.
I'm going to go with the ship option, but the second one, commandeering my own ship. I think he's going to want to, being off on his first mission as a teenager, he's going to want to show off and say, I've got a little bit of Dad's money. I'm going to commandeer my own ship and make this mission work.
I suspect your father is smiling as he hands you the very small purse of 500 gold pieces. And what sort of relationship do you have with your father?
Fairly good. He's, not too close, because Raj has spent more time with his grandmother than his father, so it's not an incredibly affectionate. Father's always been very stern, telling him what he should and shouldn't do. Not so much emotionally involved.
All right. So your father looks at you from across his large desk, which has got various little gemstones, necklaces in various states of completion, all of the ledgers on the other side, and gives you that very hard stare that he has given you before. It is a grave task that you now take on, my young heir. Whatever journey you choose to take, I trust that one of the circles will provide you with protection. I also trust that you will not believe too heavily what your grandmother has filled your head with. There is more to this world than simply believing in magic and gods. We are traders. That is what puts food on our tables. That is what keeps your mother happy and keeps you in the fine clothes that you find yourself in. If you do not have at least one Alexandrite when you return to Cocoon, I am afraid we might have to take more drastic measures in planning your future.
Yes, I understand. I will not fail you, Father.
Okay. Then I wish you all the speed that you can muster, and might I give you one piece of advice?
I'm sure you will.
He doesn't seem to rise to the bait of your comment. Those Utherians, whatever the hell they call themselves, you must be very careful with them, for they are frequently in the habit of taking slaves. And if I am to be getting a ransom note from some human who has taken my son as a slave, You should rest assured, Raj, that you better be prepared to be in the service of a human for at least 5 years before they decide to pay it, huh?
Yes, I will be very careful. I would not wish to disgrace you by being a slave.
Very good. Very good. Right, now go! You are wasting my time. He gets back to looking at some jewelry with his eyepiece that he has with him at all times. What is your next course of action?
Okay, I've got to go out and find myself a ship.
The crowded streets of Cocoon are filled with 1,000 smells of various spice houses, all trying to sell spices, and eventually that's all washed down with the insidious stench of fish, rotting fish, and sailors, as assumedly you're making your way towards the docks.
Yes.
Give me a perception check, please, if you will. And whilst we're doing that, I will fill in our new viewers on what is happening. This is a session 0, folks, of my new one-on-one game. I'm playing with Brian, who is a patron of the channel, and he's playing the Tabaxi Sorcerer, spelt however you so choose, because it's my world. Mwahaha. But, yes, probably spelt correctly for next week. So he's going through session 0. We're trying to figure out where everybody fits in the world. We're kind of setting up some backstory. So there you are. For clarification, it's not Braxia. It is the campaign world that I made in the campaign creation series last year, as a matter of fact, although we are not playing that actual campaign. Anyway, Brian, what did you get for Raj's perception?
That was an 8.
There we go. There we go. We're not using any kind of VTT for this game. We will be using Dungeon Fog for maps and for any kind of map combat that we might need. But yes. Okay. You're 8. As you are, where are you heading in the dock specifically? Are you going to a tavern? Are you going to the dockmaster?
Going to the dockmaster.
All right.
Looking for what ships are available.
As you are walking towards the dockmaster, someone puts their hand in your pocket and jingles it about ferociously.
And grab them and stop them from taking my money.
Laughing at you is Naresh, who is an old friend of yours. You didn't even know that I was there. How on earth are you going to go all the way to Pythos, my friend?
Oh, thank goodness it was you. I was so worried. I am trying to be so careful, but you know me. I just want to go and show off my dad's money.
He sort of pulls his whiskers to either side, pulling them down. We don't need to necessarily go there, okay? We can just calm it down just a little bit. Your father's money, you say? What kind of money are we talking about?
Well, I am going on my first mission to source an Alexandrite for our business. I must first hire a ship and go to Uthros. Do you have any experience in this?
In Uthros? Yes, I would not go if you paid me, I would say, 300 gold pieces. No, I would not go to Uthros. They are full of slave traders and, what is that other horrific thing? Oh yes, gladiatorial arenas where they fight each other to the death. They sometimes include fighting with wild animals and so on. It is a very barbaric place. I would not go there at all. No, it is far better to stay here, my friend. Why do you need to go all the way there? I'm sure we can find an Alexandrite for you to purchase here in Karkun. We don't need to go all the way over there.
But I want to see the world. This is a very exciting opportunity for me.
Okay, so we'll buy you an atlas, and then we buy an Alexandrite, then we go and have something to drink, and then we go and give your father the stone, and you are a hero. Ha ha! Happy days.
No. This has to be done just right. I have to go to the place and find the new gem for my father.
Well, all right. If there's no talking you out of it, then that's fine, I suppose. Okay, so you are going to... How are you going to get there?
Well, I was on my way to the dockmaster to see what ships are available for hire.
I see. You want to hire a ship? Have you ever captained a ship?
No, of course not.
Do you even know what type of what a ship is, Raj? Come on. You are very lucky that your friend Naresh is here to help you, huh?
Yes, yes, I am very lucky that you did not steal from me. Thank you.
Oh, yes, about that. He hands you back the coin purse that he had completely lifted from you with your perception check of 8. Yeah, so that is not a very smart place to keep all your coin. You have divided it into different pouches, yes? You're not keeping it all in the same pouch.
Oh, of course, of course.
Right. Okay, the Dark Master happens to be a friend of mine. Let's go and have a chinwag with him and see what we can get you. What exactly is your budget for this ship?
Oh, maybe 100, 200 gold pieces.
Okay, we'll tell him 50. That's fine.
Oh,
Yeah. Excellent, excellent.
okay.
Okay.
Of course, I will give a little bit to you for your help.
I would not ask a friend of mine to pay me money for helping him, but if you buy me an expensive lunch, we call it even, huh?
Okay. Fair
So Naresh has been yours for a friend of yours for quite a long time, and he's a wheeler and dealer of sorts. The only thing that you may be slightly concerned about is that he is definitely one of those people who knows everything about everything and yet never seems to know anything about anything when you actually ask him about what he knows. He's a bit of a mover and a shaker, and yes, his family, they're not in jewelry, they're in carpets. So, but he's similar to yourself, lots of time on his hands. The only difference is that his family and him, they started off in the streets and he worked his way up in the trade, hence his ability to pick pockets with alacrity. The Dockmaster's offices is a massive collection of ships that have been effectively boarded together and then beached. Originally, this would have been maybe 100 or 200 years ago when there was still a beach in this area, and it has grown since then. So lots of ancient ships and things stick out in all different directions, and there are captains all over the place. The noise is almost intolerable. Everybody shouting prices, shouting names, shouting offers, shouting deals. There are tabaxi running backwards and forwards with clipboards, busy writing down numbers, changing notes. It's complete and utter chaos. And Naresh sort of shouts over at you, I think we better find a way to lodge what we're looking for. How big this ship is you want, huh?
It does not have to be big. We're not taking a lot of cargo, so a small ship is enough to make the journey and back.
Okay, and you're going to Pythios, yeah?
Yes.
He disappears into the throng, leaving you alone for a moment. What are you doing?
Okay, just take a look at what's around me, see if anything shiny catches my attention, gets me in trouble.
There is a lot going on. Now, you're all speaking, well, initially, you hearing just tabaxi being shouted backwards and forwards, the official trading language of the Vashti Empire. But every now and again, you hear a captain shouting in a voice, I got a brig for sale, in a common human tongue. You think you hear some elves speaking in their very bizarre language, very, very clipped and specific, the tones that they use. Occasionally you hear some of the deeper rumblings of some of the larger species. But looking around, the only thing that really catches your attention is that there appears to be a human captain who is just sitting quietly in a corner. He's not saying anything, but he's flipping what looks to be a very... I reckon I'm about to get a commission to sail a fine young woman like yourself to a small island just off of the Darek's coast for a pleasurable evening's entertainment with some other young female felines.
That does sound very exciting.
All right.
What is the cost of such a trip?
Ooh, it's expensive, that is. It's 10 gold per person going.
And how long is the trip?
It's a day.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. I very tempted, but
Are you not a young woman looking for a ship to sail you to the islands off of the Darek's coast?
I am not a young woman. Thank you very much.
All right. Are you not an old woman looking to sail to the islands off the Darek's coast?
I'm a young man. Thank you very much, my good sir.
Eyes not what they used to, staring into the bright light. Definitely not. Definitely not. Definitely not. As good as you fine furry folk. You backsies have got much better eyesight than I do. Now, where does Sir want to go exactly?
I am looking for passage to Pythos.
Pythos, you say?
Yes.
Ah. Give me an insight check.
Seven.
I've been to Pythos many a time. My ship's certainly capable of going there, sir. I might be able to get you there in, say, 7 days, sailing if the weather's fair and the Aram is behaving itself.
How much would such a journey cost?
Around about 150 gold pieces, all said and told. If you want exclusivity of the ship, that is. I mean, if I can take on other crew or other passengers, then it might be 75.
75?
If I can take on other passengers, that is, and that might delay the journey by a day or two while I wait to find some other suckers, plus other tabaxi.
Let me see your ship first. I need to see if it is worth such.
Yeah, it's that one out there in the harbour. A beautiful, beautiful model of a ship. He points. There are several hundred ships in Carcoon's harbour, ranging from massive trade galleons to the very strange Anchang junk-like ships with these big square sails. You can see some beautiful elvish ships with their very graceful lines. But yes, to pick out one human ship, there are several of the heavier built human ships. It's difficult to tell.
Please take me and show me your ship. I must be careful. I'm very specific about how I travel.
Oh, a wise man indeed, he says, and he sort of gets up. He sways a little bit as he stands, and you can see he has a peg leg on his left leg, as a matter of fact. And he starts limping towards the door. So, when exactly would you want to be leaving?
Well, I would like to go as soon as possible.
Ah, right, you are then. So maybe the 150 is more to your liking, sir.
Well, it depends upon your vessel, of course.
Oh, right, yeah, no, absolutely. She's a fine sloop, sir. Fine sloop. 120 years of hard service and not once ever had a complaint.
Okay, well, show me.
He starts to lead you down the docks. and down the docks and along the docks. Just over here, he says, as he continues to walk, as you're getting further and further away out into the middle of Carcoon Harbour, and then around the corner just a little bit towards more docks with smaller ships and smaller ships, and some ships that are not exactly floating above the waterline, and eventually he gets you to... It kind of looks like a ship. I mean, it's got a hull and it has a mast that's mostly vertical with some very sad looking beige sails hanging from it. A young human lad, difficult to tell these human ages, looks up with a bright and cheerful smile and waves at the captain, who sort of waves him down. It's my first mate, Carver. Very enthusiastic for a humanling. Young, what do you call your young exactly?
Cubs.
Cubs, right? Yeah, he's a young cub, absolutely young cub. Can't go wrong with a young cub. Right, so this is my pride and joy. This is the ship. This is the Putney.
This is not quite what I had in mind.
Well, should get you there in under a week, guaranteed. Absolutely. Young Carver here is a deft hand at those sails. Gets all he can out of them.
And what kind of quarters would I be staying in?
Oh, the very best, sir. The only ones on board, as a matter of fact, that are still above board. I'll show them to you. He steps onto the deck of the ship, which wallows slightly. Not a problem at all. And he brings up, eventually, this map of the ship. You can see it here. And this is a temporary token. I will have tokens made, proper tokens made shortly. But this is you. This is young Carver, who sort of moves around. The ship does have a single ballista upon it. It is very rusted, though, from your simple glance. And the captain leads you to the back of the ship, where he shows you the room. This is your room here. It's got a great big hammock in it, nice to curl up in, and you can make your rest as you so choose, sir.
All right. Using my insight, does it look safe from fleas?
That's more of a survival check. Give me a survival check as you assess this ship.
Oh, great. The dice love me. A 2.
Yes, this is a ship. It's the hammock looks unslept in since at least this morning. When you pat it, there is no pitter-patter of little insects falling to their deaths or leaping furiously into your fur. It does indeed seem to be a pretty good spot, actually.
Tell you what, my father has not trusted me with all of the money. Can I give you 100 now and 50 on our return?
Return? Oh, this was
yes.
A one-way price. You want a return?
Yes. I am looking for a return trip.
Well, then it would have to be 100 now and 100 on return.
Okay. I can accept that.
That's most excellent, sir. Most excellent. Only we do have a slight policy on this ship. It's money up front, sir.
How? Okay, once I give you the money, how soon can we take off?
I would need to find some other people to join the ship first, sir, before we can sail, only on account that you can't actually sail a sloop with just 2 people. But it's not a problem. I'll find them ship shape, toot sweet, soon as lightning can strike me dead twice. I'll be back within an hour.
All right, you have a deal. Here it is, 100 gold pieces.
You pay him the cash?
Yep.
My dice. I'm rolling 1s, 3s, and 5s. I don't know what's going on here either. Okay. He very generous of you. Very generous of you. Right, this is your room. What do we call sir?
You may call me Raj.
Raj, right, yes. Excellent. I'm Captain Sanjan. Sajin, actually. There we are. So, right. Good. I'll be back in like an hour, as I said. Carver will sort you out for any needs that you might have. Oh, did you want to eat something on the way there?
Fish is wonderful.
Right, well, that's brilliant then. Yeah, that's wonderful, because the ocean's full of them. We'll find some on the way. Good. Right, like to cut down costs when we can. It's a traditional thing. Right. You stay here then. I'm off. I'll be back with crew.
Okay. Please, make haste.
He makes incredible haste, a lot faster than when he was walking here to show you the ship. Absolutely. Leaving you alone in your very small 10-foot by 5-foot-ish cabin.
Okay. I want to go up deck and just take a look around, get used to the
Sure.
see what it looks like.
Yeah, she's in okay condition as far as you're concerned. She's a sloop. She's got a fairly long hull to her, probably something below deck. You can see there's a grate that leads down into the lower cargo holds. Carver comes rushing over to you. Sanjan Captain Sajan's gone. He's disappeared. Carver comes over to you, though. I've broken the map. Don't tell anyone. I must lock that down. Oh. So Carver comes rushing over to you and looks at you. Captain said that I'm to look after you. So is there anything that you might need?
Well, tell me, how long have you been working on this ship?
On this particular ship?
Yeah.
The Rose? I've been here since this morning.
I see. And you've worked on other ships before?
Real ones?
Yes.
No. But I have built lots of little ones, to float in the stream.
What was the captain's name again?
Captain Sajan.
Sajan.
Yes.
You
might have noticed him from all the posters around town.
Posters around town?
The ones that... You didn't see the posters?
I didn't see the posters. What were the posters?
Everyone looks at the walls. There are posters everywhere. Flyers for everything that could possibly ever be sold. And as you look around, you do see one poster. It's a wanted poster with a drawing of an individual who looks very similar to Sajan. Kinda. The part that picks it out specifically, which is written in bold and obviously in tabaxi, is it's a one-legged human.
What do the posters say he's wanted for?
He's wanted for piracy and petty theft.
Oh, great. All right, I've got to figure out if this ship actually belongs to him. Okay. I'm going to wait patiently for an hour to see if he comes back.
It's actually 17 minutes, and you see him coming back. It looks as if he's moving quite quickly, as a matter of fact, followed by 7 other individuals who are also moving quite quickly. And as he's approaching, he's sort of waving his hat in the air, and he's shouting at Carver, "Cut all the lines, lads! We're leaving now!"
What did the other guys look like?
They look mostly human. Difficult to tell. Most of them have got beards and disheveled. It's difficult to tell. They're human, right? They always look big and messy. There is an elf, at least one elf, who's striding coolly along at the back, almost nonchalantly, as opposed to the rest of them, who are all making quite good time. The captain lands on the deck. "Glad to see you've been taking in some fresh air, sir. Might I suggest you go into your cabin now as we depart from the harbour?"
I would like to see how we take off. This is my first time aboard a ship. I'd like to take a look, if that's all right.
Right you are, sir. Then might I suggest you, well, you just stand where you want to stand then. All right, lads, we're going to be doing a dragon on the crowd, all right? Everybody that has come aboard with him, they all look much, much older than young Carver. They look at the captain, they look at you, they look back at the captain. Just remember, there's payment. He sort of nods and winks at them. They all nod and start moving about the ship. For their dishevelled look, and for the rancid aroma of milk and stale beer that washes off of them and assails your senses, they do make the ship look as if she is alive all of a sudden. Climbing up the rigging, dropping down the mainsails, casting off the ropes, winding that winch at the front to haul up the anchors, and in no time at all, the ship is starting to pull away from the dock. The captain at the wheel has her spinning hard, trying to clear as much distance as he possibly can. And one of the sailors, the elf, by the looks of things, is standing next to the trebuchet and appears to be casting magic on said trebuchet. Faint trails of yellow energy are washing out of his fingertips as he runs them over the surface of the ballista.
I say to him in Elven, which I speak because my family deals a lot with the Elven kind in their trade. What kind of magic is that?
He turns and nods. It is not usual for one such as yourself to speak my language so proficiently. It is an honor. Currently, I am restoring this device to operational readiness, as per the captain's orders. It is a simple mending spell that I cast upon this device.
We may expect trouble, I see.
I believe it is the exact opposite of that situation which the captain wishes to engage in, as per his instruction of doing a dragon. A quaint human term.
What does that mean, doing a dragon?
We will be firing a ballista loaded with an oiled rag that has been set alight into one of these ships as we depart.
And the purpose of doing so is
to cause a gigantic flame to erupt on said ship and as much chaos and panic as we possibly can before effecting our escape from this infernal place, yes.
I see. I have chosen a very interesting crew.
I was not aware that you were in charge. You are the financier of our escape, in which case I believe I owe you a debt that may not be repaid in any short amount of time.
What was your name, my friend?
They call me Key.
Key. Okay. Well, yes. All right. I'll leave you to your work. I think we may have a lot to talk about on the journey.
If that is what you wish. He returns to casting his spell, and you can see the flakes of rust on the drum of the ballista are slowly starting to right themselves and to correct as necessary. The captain comes up to you. Don't believe everything that you hear from the rest of the crew. Bunch of scallywags, a lot of them.
I'll believe what I see with my eyes.
That's a very good belief to have, sir. Very good belief. And so far, what have you seen?
Well, you are performing quite a maneuver, this dragon.
No, you know of the dragon then, sir.
Yes, so do you expect pursuit after this maneuver?
No, that's the exact reason for doing it, sir.
I see. But would someone be watching you with magical means?
We thought about that, sir, but we reckon the risk was great enough.
I see. Okay, I have bitten off maybe more than I can chew, but that's all right. We're here. All right. I will return to my quarter for a little bit. I may come out again looking like someone different. Do not be alarmed.
I get your meaning, sir. I get your meaning, and it's perfectly fine. By now they would have seen you already, and so changing your appearance might make the most sense, sir, in case they get word to the ships waiting outside of the harbor.
So I walk into my cabin and I cast disguise self.
Right.
It just look like one of the crew mates, and then come back out just to watch this dragon maneuver and see how we make it out of here.
The ship is moving at quite some speed, as a matter of fact, and running towards the dock where the ship was is a rather overweight tabaxi. And it's difficult to tell what he's saying because there's all the sounds of the harbor all around. But he seems very unhappy that the ship is sailing away from the dock without him on it. You can give me a history check if you like.
Okay. 17.
That was Umesh Gopal. Umesh Gopal, one of the larger trading family, well, he himself is a member of one of the larger trading families in all of Cocoon, noticeable by the fact that he has bright yellow and blue striped trousers. This ship may or may not have belonged to him up until very recently. The family are known to be rather ruthless, but have no dealings with your family whatsoever. They deal mainly in food and transportation of livestock. Rather than anything.
He was pleased about the ship leaving?
No, he was very unhappy. He was sort of waving and making some very rude gestures in tabaxi towards the back of the ship. It's at exactly that moment that Carver shouts, "Captain!" And everyone looks to the front of the ship, where you can see two very, very, very heavily armed tabaxi patrol ships, both heading directly towards this ship, whatever its name might be, when suddenly the ballista on the main deck fires at a particularly large human merchant galleon. This perfect shot, which is on fire as it sails through the air. It impales into the rigging of the other ship, which promptly bursts into flames. The rest of the crew, you can see, are loading up another ballista bolt into this particular ballista and appear to be getting ready to do it again. Key is standing serenely next to them, giving them advice on the trajectories and angles of attack and so on. That causes one of the ships to veer off to head towards helping this human cargo ship. The other one, however, continues at speed directly towards this one. Are you doing anything?
I'm getting ready for in case one of the other ships pursue us, to just prepare for combat, maybe to protect myself if needed.
There you go. Getting ready to protect yourself. As they are coming forward, the captain looks down at you. Are you sure you don't have any more coin about your person, sir? Only if you want to survive and not get hanged by the neck until dead, 7 times over, for that is the punishment here in Cocoon. If you could find it in your hearts to find but another 200 gold pieces, we might be able to get out of this mess, sir.
Another 200 gold pieces.
It's a steep price, but what's your life worth, really?
Well, I've only got another 100 to purchase, and then my father would give me the 100 to give to you when we return.
I'll take it. Another 100 it is. Carver. Carver comes over to you with his hat. And he holds the hat out for the coins.
Okay. And I give him the 100.
He puts his hat back on again. That'll do it. That'll do it. You're our savior, sir, for sure, for sure. And he takes this glass orb, which he had in a pouch next to him, and smashes it down onto the deck. And this gas just starts to spray out from pumping out this fog into the harbour, which is illuminated with a large orange stretch of colour where the galleon was that's currently on fire. The ballista fires again, sending another firebolt into this.
Keep quiet and keep my eyes about what's going on.
There is this shouts from the ships on either side of you, this call of terror and help, and where the hell did this fog come from? Put that fire out! We need some more hands over here! There's just these calls going there. That's inhuman. In Tabaxi, from the other side of the ship, you're hearing this shout of, I know they're in front of us. It is where they were. We must find them. They will not get away from us. This is being shouted in Tabaxi. Obviously, this merchant ship slowly making its way forward. You can hear the lap of the waves splashing against the various hulls as this little sloop slowly seems to slip through. Perhaps. Give me a stealth check, if you so please.
23.
It is an insufferably long amount of time that passes. It feels like hours, and your muscles are tense from just listening to the sounds of chaos. But ever so slowly, it starts to get quieter and quieter and quieter, until eventually you hear someone from the back of the ship. All right, lads, open up all the sails. If I've got my calculations right, we should be exiting the harbour any moment. Then it's the high seas, and we gotta leg it, for our fog will not continue past the gates. More sail is put on, and this does cause a flapping sound. And then the ship seems to surge forward, and the fog suddenly breaks as if by magic, for that is what it was. And the brilliant afternoon sunlight streams in, revealing the massive ocean of the Arum Sea, opening out in all different directions except for behind you, where this fog cloud is slowly starting to dissipate. Flames are dancing from ship to ship in the Cocoon harbour. all ships now have forgotten about you and the sloop and are focusing on trying to make sure that the fires doesn't spread into the actual city itself, which would be an absolute catastrophe. It is about focusing on that. And the ship slowly makes its way out into the open waters. And that's normally where we would end, because that's an hour. So there we are. Lots of chat going on, which I've been purposely ignoring, even though he's been reading it. But yes, lots of chat going on. Interesting theories from chat. So, Brian, what are your initial thoughts? How do you feel about this? This is a session 0, so this is where we can adjust, we can change. So give me feedback.
Very, very good so far. Obviously, my character doesn't know what he's gotten himself into yet, but so far he's alive and he's not in slavery yet, so that's good.
Yes, you could look at it that way. Yes, absolutely.
Personally, I just want to prepare my accent better. I had started to work on it, but I didn't spend enough prep time. That's a fun part for me. But no, the story is great. Yeah, I'm good with what's going on right now.
Were you happy in terms of the fact that? Well, let me ask you this: the con that's being played, obviously on Raj, he's been used as the fall guy for this whole thing. Is that a story that you would be interested in pursuing further? Because this is session 0, we can erase that and start afresh. I mean, it's entirely up to you.
Yeah, I think this will work because his initial goals don't really play much into an interesting story, and this allows it to develop into that. So okay. I think this will be good.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see where we're going. Your dice were against you tonight, by the looks of things. They usually are. Okay, that's good to know. I need to adjust that. So, yes. All right. In terms of the interface, is the map working for you? Is that all right? When I switch, I sometimes forget to switch, but then I do remember. Is this working for you?
Yeah, I can see that just fine.
All right, perfect. I will have proper tokens for us by next week, so we can make a play. We can make it look better at that point. Now, from all of you guys watching, there's lots of talk going on. Some people were saying, oh, I've embedded my NPCs already. I've given you a whole bunch of NPCs to play with. That is true. I have thrown out lots of NPCs. Whether any of them are trustworthy or not, I don't know. Poor old Naresh was left in the dockmaster's office. He's still trying to find a ship for you. So that's absolutely fine. There were lots of puns being made, which is great. Absolutely. So... yeah, and that is, I think, the most important thing for everybody watching to realize is that there are always going to be NPCs being thrown out and more NPCs, because there is no one else for the player character to rely on except for the NPCs. So whether none of them are seeded in terms of, oh, well, he should pick up this NPC. This is not Dragon Age where you need to convince this NPC to work with you because you need a healer and you need this and you need that. We've got many ways of doing that. But yes, it is something to look at and think in terms of the one-on-one game. Is you're not providing help to the player, you're creating a living world where there are just lots of people around. So there is that. We didn't get into combat, which is a pity. I had wanted to get into combat, but I also didn't want to run this too long because I know it's very late for you already, and we are only going to be running for an hour normally anyway. So I wanted to try and simulate that as close as possible. So there we are. All right. Well, anything else from you, Brian?
One on the combat thing, we didn't do much in setting up the character as far as equipment. Will I have like maybe a dagger or anything on me besides just some cash.
Absolutely. So it's at this point, I mean, this is why we do session 0. So you can now look at it and go, okay, cool. Well, what do I want to add? What don't I want to add? The next question that I have for you is, because this is session 0, we're not necessarily going to come back to the story unless you want us to. We would actually start the campaign at the actual adventure itself. This was just an introductory adventure. So I'm also happy to carry on playing this adventure too, if you like, as it does create a rather interesting beginning, I think.
Yeah, I think we can continue this, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think there'll be some fun to be had with this.
Yes, I think so. And again, that's also something that, this was just a way that all the groups would get together. Now, if you were a group, maybe you would have got to the ship. Maybe, well, you couldn't have teleported because it was too expensive. But we'll see. And chat, yes, I will be asking for names. That's one of they want to know before we end tonight's session, or today's session anyway. Lots of talk about cat naps and that sort of thing. I see Dead Aussie Gamers here briefly. I hope you've gone back to bed again. It's awfully early for you. Tabaxi by any other name, yes. So Captain Price has asked when again. It will be every Wednesday now at the same time moving forward. So 6 p.m. GMT. So yes, and then it will be available on the Twitch, on the YouTube channel. That's Great GM Live. So youtube.com/Great GM Live. The Web Goblin, as of today, as a matter of fact, thank you, Web Goblin, sorted out the YouTube channel naming, so you will always find us here on Great GM Live, as well as Twitch for, I think it's 2 weeks or something along those lines. Anyway, maps provided by Dungeon Fog, of course, as they are. This particular map is the map of the sloop, which comes with Nautical Campaigns. That's the book that we used. We won't be doing any nautical combat necessarily, unless you want to, of course, Brian. That's the joy that you have. You're not arguing with any other PCs as to where the direction should go. This is your story, and we're here for the ride.
Okay.
So that's where we're going, yeah. All right, Brian, thank you so much for playing. Nothing like having your first session 0 live before a crazy bunch of wonderful viewers who, yes, I hope you're not watching the chat, because we reached 100 messages quite early on.
I'm going to go back and look through the chat.
Yeah. So there we go. Okay. Got some nice names coming in already. So I'll be using those names next week. So save them until next week. Until then, of course, from me and from Brian, thanks all for watching. We'll see you again next week. And until then, happy gaming.